Good morning, everyone. It's Dr. Liz here, and thank you for joining me. Hey, I heard a story the other day, and I wanted to share with you because it really reminded me of some things that happen inside ourselves and inside our relationships. So you ready? Okay, story time. Um, there was a farmer and his son, and they were in the midst of baling hay and they lived in the valley and they kept baling hay, baling hay. Every time the son thought we're done, he would say, "Okay, Dad, we're done. Let's take off." And Dad said, "Nope. We have to make more. We have to bale more hay. It's going to be a really hard winter." And he's like, "How do you know? How do you know?" Dad says, "I've been doing this a long time. Just it's going to be a hard winter." So they baled more hay, baled more hay. Son said, "Hey, I'm done. We've got enough. It's like all over." And Dad said, "No, no, we got to bale more hay." And finally, the son was done, frustrated. He said, "Hey, listen, Dad, I think we have more than enough hay. And at some point in time, I know you've been running the farm for years and years, but at some point in time, I'm going to step in and take over this farm, and I need to know how to plan, how to predict for winters or droughts or whatever." Smart son. Okay. And he said, "So tell me, what's the secret? How do you know we're going to have this really hard winter from one year to the other?" And Dad said, "You do have a point." He said, "So here's how I know we're going to have a hard winter." He says, "I look up at the mountain, see the mountain up there, and I see what the Indians are doing, and they are chopping more wood. Do you see how much wood they have? That means we're going to have a hard winter. So that's how we keep baling hay. I use them. They're wise. They know what they're doing. And so based on the wood they have, we are going to be in for a really hard winter." He said, "Okay, all right. But I'm going to go up and I'm going to ask them then how they know that we're going to have a really hard winter. Because someday I'm going to take over the farm and I want to know myself." So son went up the hill and started sitting around chatting with the Indians up there, asking them, "How do you know? How do you guys predict? I need to know." And the chief, head guy, he says, "Well, we look down and see what your father's doing. Your father's a wise man, and he's got a lot of hay. So if he's baling more hay, we know, because he's a smart guy, we're going to have a hard winter. So we chop more wood. So we're going to have a hard winter, son. So you better get down and help your father bale hay." Okay. so, so the son's like, "Oh my gosh. Oh, at least that's what I'd be thinking. Like, oh my gosh." So he went back um, and had a chat with his father. Okay. Well, what it made me think about was, look, whomever it was in the story, both of these folks are working off of assumptions. All right. They are looking and seeing what someone's doing and they think, "Oh, we're going to have, hard winter. I need to keep doing this." How many of us work off of assumptions in our lives and in our relationships? Okay. And then we have a reaction to what we assume is happening. So maybe someone, let's take something simple every day. So maybe someone goes into the kitchen, fixes themselves a sandwich, and then they take off and go in the other direction. And your someone doesn't give you even the courtesy of saying, "Hey, you want a sandwich? I'll make one for you," or "I'll leave the stuff out for you," or "I would make you one, but I'm in a hurry." Nothing. It's just like they make a sandwich and they go. And so what do? We jump to conclusions, we jump to our assumptions, and we oftentimes have reactions that don't line up, right? And so maybe we assume, "Oh, well, they're selfish, you know, always thinking about themselves. Could even go out of the way to make me a sandwich or ask me if I want a sandwich." Or maybe we assume a nice thing and say, "Oh, he must be in a hurry. They must be busy. They must be running to one of their, Zoom meetings or something." And so because normally they're really nice. Well, okay, so that's a nice assumption. And our reaction is probably going to be kinder in that respect. If we assume that they're selfish and they only think about ourselves, we might then shape our behavior, future behavior, in a negative or a reactionary or a harsh way. And we might go out of our way to not do something for them. Okay. Working off of this misinformation assumption, not checking things out like the son did in the story. And the thing that, my God, I have a selfish, people like narcissistic, whatever kind of thing, that all they do is think about themselves. And now I have just set the stage for how I'm going to continue to show up in my marriage or my relationship, all based on a series of misses. Okay. If I checked it out and the story turns out true that, yeah, they did deliberately do that because they're pissed off at me or whatever, then we have a whole other can of worms to work on. Okay. But for today, I want you to think about how you are showing up in your marriage, in your relationship. How are you basing your assumptions on their actions or lack of actions? And how are you reacting to that? Because you're setting the stage for a very destructive pattern. The other thing that I loved is that son said, I'm going to the experts. So he went and asked each person, what were they doing? How did they know? Right? Great. The farmer dad and the Indian chief, whatever, they had wasted years and years and years working off of misinformation. Had they both come down and visited with each other, they might have said, well, I have no I have no idea how we predict winter. Let's just make sure that we stock up so none of us are vulnerable. All right. That would have been information, right? And so what happens in relationships is that we don't ask, we don't go to the experts, we don't even talk to each other. We just keep going on autopilot. And we lose time, we lose opportunities for some wonderful connections, some wonderful ways to build a loving relationship, to feel loved, to leave a legacy for our kids. And in reality, the average couple waits 7 years before they do anything about it. 7 years. So maybe there's more to it than just the 7-year itch. Maybe it's 7 years of disappointing, destructive, distancing patterns and interactions, and we get to the point where we're done with it. Right? So the son, third thing I love about him, he didn't wait for his dad to get around to do it. He didn't wait for the Indian chief to get around to it. He went and did it on his own, got information. You can too. Stop waiting for them. Stop waiting for a better day, a different day, waiting for them to come around or start now. You can make significant, in a very simple way, very simply, significant changes in the quality of your life, the quality of your relationships, your interactions, your satisfaction. You start with you and the other things fall into place, whether it's in your relationship, it's your marriage. Okay. So join me inside my Relationships Renewed, guys, and I'll share more of it. DM me because I would love to talk to you more about this. And maybe you have another story too that you'd like to share because I'm all about that fun stuff. So be like the son in this story. Don't assume. Get information. Start now. Don't let another day, another minute go by. Don't have one more dissatisfying interaction, okay? Don't get discouraged and give up on you, and don't get discouraged and give up on your relationship or your marriage because it can be fixed. It can be supercharged. See you later. I'm off to go clean out the storage unit. See what water damage, what things we can save from the water damage. But anyway, take care. I will talk to you later. Bye.